So welcome everyone within our Chad Mike Collins Elite community. I am Rachel, as many of you know. We have many great questions for our special guest, Chad Mike Collins, and thank you to everyone who submitted one. Much appreciated. We will be opening questions up at the end, if we have time. Juliet, that is our lovely admin, Mary Juliet Karen, will gather relevant questions that you may have. Welcome, Chad. Thank you for joining us today to answer our questions. We are very grateful and excited to be here. As many of you know, Chad is a talented American actor and producer, best known for his roles as Brandon Beckett in the Sony Sniper franchise, and also for the legendary gaming franchise, which we all know of, Call of Duty. He plays Alex Echo 3-1 for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. He has a diverse resume ranking up many TV and film movies, such as Once Upon a Time, Extinct, Company of Heroes, High Moon. The list goes on, and we have many new releases coming soon. He also has a passion for Dungeons and Dragons, which he will be streaming on Twitch come February, and helps motivate and inspire us with fitness and nutrition. So thank you for being here, Chad. We appreciate spending time with us.
Thank you, Rachel. I know this is a long time coming, so I appreciate everyone's patience, but happy to be here partying with you all for the next hour. So let's have some fun. Cheers.
Yes, let's start with our first question, which is from Richard Sharp. How did you get the role of Alex Echo 3-1?
Yeah, I got it through a straight up audition. There's a wonderful casting director that I've known for years. Her name's Emily Schweber. She brought me in for a video game role. Shrouded in secrecy. Had no idea that it was for Activision or Infinity Ward or that it was Call of Duty, of course. So we had a great session. I went right into an audition with the narrative director, Taylor Kurosaki, and Brian Bloom, who's the writer as well. So we went into their soundstage, their mocap stage, and we just played. And, we had the plastic guns, and we used some tables and chairs and worked in the space, and they had all the cameras set up, and we played for 20 minutes, and it went really, really well, obviously. And, 5-6 weeks later, they called back and offered the part. It was in the rearview mirror for me. I had no idea. I just figured if I hadn't heard, I would, they went with someone else. So luckily it went my way. And, it wasn't until we gathered for our first kind of table reading this initial scripts, that it was revealed that it was going to be a Call of Duty game, and that it was going to be a reboot of the Modern Warfare universe. So very exciting stuff, very, very fun. But like most video game projects, you sign all sorts of NDAs even before you audition, and you usually have no idea what the project is unless you can kind of put two and two together about some stuff. So really, really nice surprise. And here we are a few years later, and the Call of Duty Modern Warfare has gone down as one of the more popular entries in the historic Call of Duty franchise. So.
Yeah, we love it. The next question is from Faye Austin. If you could work on your favorite TV show or film with your favorite co-star, what or who would you choose and why?
Richard, thanks for your question, by the way. And Faye, how are you? Thank you for your question. That's a tough one. I'm such a fan of so many actors out there. I really, really love everyone from, Brad Pitt to Henry Cavill to, all your standard big actors all around the world. I've been catching up on Witcher season 2, and I read all the Witcher books, and as everyone knows, I'm a huge fantasy nerd, dark fantasy in particular, which is what The Witcher is. It's a really well done show and very, very entertaining. Really fun to be on a show like that. I mean, that's just kind of a bucket list item for me, to be able to do something medieval fantasy and stuff like that. So we'll go with the grunting Henry Cavill as Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher. That would be kind of a really, really, really fun opportunity.
Yeah, I can see it now. So the next question is from Sylvina. What is the process of recording an audiobook?
Good question. Hi, Sylvina. Thank you for the question. Yeah, the audiobook has been fun. I'm averaging about one per year, which is great. They're hard work. I really didn't know what to expect when I signed on to my first one, The Power of the Dog, for Hachette Audio. But That was a referral. I'm friends with a very accomplished novelist and writer, and he knew some producers over at Hachette Audio, which is one of the biggest publishing companies in the world, and they were looking for a unique voice to come in and redo The Power of the Dog. And so my name got passed along. She asked for some samples, so I read kind of chapter one for her and sent over my recording, and everyone loved it and signed off. And next thing you know, I'm in the booth, recording it, page by page. So that's what it is. You work with an audio engineer. You're in a sound recording studio, and you've got your little tablet, and you're just scrolling across, the PDF line by line by line, trying to be very articulate and word perfect. And the engineer will catch you and call you out on every word that you missed or mispronounced. But you also, in real time, being an actor, you have to infuse some life into it, try to give a little bit of a different wrinkle on the way this character speaks and sounds and versus that character. So it's a little challenging when you're going back and forth and keeping that in mind as well. But it's a fun experience. It's a lot harder than it looks. I know there's professional audiobook narrators out there who just do 20 to 30 books a year, and God bless them, because that is a tough way to go. It takes a lot of focus, and it is very, very, very tiring, because each session is about 4 to 5 hours, and then you come back the next day and do it all over again. So it's usually slow going. I got my hourly rate up to 45 to 50 pages per session. 10 pages per hour. It is a very slow process, but very, very rewarding. And I love books. I'm a huge book nerd. So doing an audiobook every once in a while is really, it's an amazing way to kind of put something like that out in the world and encourage people to check that out.
That's awesome. And we do love hearing your voice when you do your audiobooks. So this one is from Alison Moore. At the beginning of Assassin's End, you are gaming online. Was this written specifically as you do this in real life, or was it a coincidence, or did you suggest it?
That's a good question. So the story with that is Oliver Thompson, who we've chatted with before when Sniper Assassin's End released a year and a half ago or so. He was the writer on that film, and he was also a producer. And we had a lot of conversations leading up to filming that movie, and they're very aware that I was in the Call of Duty universe and the Call of Duty was coming out, and there was much hype around it. So I think he consciously put that in there, to kind of tie the two worlds together and just give a little bit of an Easter egg for the audiences, for the audience members that would know, that follow me or whatever else. So it was a really cool wrinkle that they put in the opening of that movie, which is really fun because it was kind of art imitates life. Because at that point I had been streaming already and playing Call of Duty myself, and I'm a big video gamer in general. So it was a really, really fun scene to play out. It was really cool to read that script for the first time and see it in there.
Yeah, I really loved that bit. It really made me smile loads when I saw that bit. So the next question is from Anna Paula. What kind of character do you think your acting career is missing that you haven't done yet and really would like to do?
Hi, Anna Paula. Thank you for the question. I have a lot. Look, everyone knows I'm a G.I. Joe nerd, and they seem to be putting life back into that movie franchise. But even an animated series or something like that would be incredible. I would love to. It's a bucket list item for me as an '80s kid, growing up with that was the height of cartoons. Thundercats and Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe and He-Man. And I grew up with all that stuff. So to do an animated series, to do a character on that, if it could be from some universe that I grew up watching, that they're rebooting for Netflix or whatever, that would be an absolute dream for me. But of course, the live action stuff too, to be a part of, something fantasy related, whether that's, like I said before, Witcher, Lord of the Rings, or live action like G.I. Joe from one of those iconic franchises. That's the bucket list stuff for me. You can't be a D&D nerd and not have a dream to swing around a damn sword in front of a camera. So hopefully that'll happen sooner rather than later. And that's definitely what I'm hoping for in the near future.
Oh, I hope so too. You may have answered this actually already. This is from Scarlett Cunningham, and she wants to know, how did the first proposal to an audiobook appear?
Can you repeat that, Rachel? Sorry, I didn't hear
So
that.
how did the first proposal to an audiobook appear?
Hmm. Yeah, hi Scarlett. How are you, Miss Scarlett? Yeah, so I kind of addressed that
Yeah, so maybe how did the
with the
second
earlier
proposal
question,
appear?
but but just speaking, to the entertainment industry in general, and I've been around the block, in this industry for a long time. You were listing off the credits in my career, and it always shocks me because that indicates that I've been doing this for 15, 17 years, what have you. So I'm a survivor. I'm still here doing it, at least trying to. But that's so much comes down to networking and who and if you think about who you meet in the span of a year, and if you look back on the new connections and the people that you've met, and then you multiply that by 15, it's like a tree diagram. Your network grows, your contacts grow. And I always very much love to keep in touch with people and to meet new people. And you kind of have to. That's how things happen in the entertainment industry. So, like you illustrated before, that was a networking. I knew a guy who thought of me because he knew a gal who was looking for something specific, and putting it together. And I love to be able to do that for other people. I had a film producer reach out just the other day who was looking, for someone to be on a camera team for a film she was doing. And I was like, I know a DP, I know a camera guy I've worked with before. Let me reach out, put them together, and it worked out. And it's really, really fun to be able to network and put people together, and then also be the beneficiary of two people talking and getting a gig that way. So a lot of that's how it happens. So it's very important, I think, just in this industry and in life to have good relationships with people, to be as helpful as possible, because that will always come back around. And I've enjoyed many roles that have been born out of those good relationships and keeping in touch with people and helping them and supporting them however you can. And karma is a good thing. And
Yeah.
so when it works out for you, it's an even better thing.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, we are really excited about your new project. You're streaming Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch come February. So here is a question from Lottie. She would like to know, how did the idea of the die is casting come about, and what tips would you give to a newbie dungeon master?
Great question. Let's just clear the rest of the hour to talk about D&D. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I could do it. I could do it. Lottie, how are you, love? Thank you for the question. I got connected with, there's an actor named Todd Stashwick, very, very prolific actor. He put out an original book where he, had D&D inspired cocktails, and it was a hardcover book, and he had a little book signing event at a local kind of nerd store out here in LA called Geeky Teas that I love to go to. So we went to the signing, said hi to Todd. I've known him for years, support him, picked up a copy of the book. I was waiting in line with a guy named Jake Inunza, and Jake's a former professional wrestler, and he's in the entertainment industry, and he plays a lot of D&D, and he's in that space, and we're all kind of connected as D&D players in that way loosely. But I met him for the first time. We've stayed in touch, and I said, look, man, I have this vision to do D&D live. I mean, if you go on Twitch, people are streaming D&D live all the time. Some people are doing it really well, and it's very involved. Some people are doing it really simple, but there's a lot out there. And I said, I think we could, with who we know and what we do, we could get a group of people together who are talented actors, voice actors, people in the entertainment industry. It's a unique thing to maybe present to an audience, to see people from this industry getting together and putting something out there, doing what they love to do. So we took that idea last, November, December, stayed in touch and ran with it. And now we've been pulling people in and feeling a lot of things out. So we're very excited. We're probably looking at late February, March to launch our very first live stream. So we're building that up and putting the pieces in place. So that's how that came together. My good friend Lindsay Russo, who I play in a D&D campaign with, who's a very talented actress, voiceover actress. She's come aboard to be one of the players. I'll be a player. Jake's going to run the game. Which is very, very exciting because he's a very, very talented, experienced dungeon master. The second part of that question, tips to be a DM. There's so many tips and advice, blogs and YouTube videos out there that I say that's your best bet. That's how I learned how to play better. That's how I learned how to run games. So many experienced people offering great advice. But I think in general, to run a game is a lot more complicated than just show up, roll dice, and be a player in a game. So you have to understand the rules. You have to understand, the source material. Like I'm running a game called Curse of Strahd, which is basically a haunted land with a vampire, dreadlord vampire, that they have to go, the big bad they have to kill all the way throughout and try to survive to get to his castle. So you have to read the book, and you've got to, know the ins and outs. And I'm very specific with mine. I like to weave things together. I like, one unfinished business now shows up to haunt the party later on, months later, and it's a big shock. So I love to do stuff like that. So I take meticulous notes and I do a lot of, additional planning, but you can absolutely wing it and just let what happens in the moment and have just as much fun doing that. I'm just too much of a nerd to have loose ends and to tie everything together. So, but go on YouTube, go on the blogs, the Dungeon Dudes. There's all sorts of amazing content creators out there who have incredible bits of advice and wisdom for people looking to get started, to learn how to play or to learn how to run games for the first time.
That's great. Thank you. So here's a question from Val Mary. The films 1 Year Off and Assailant will be released soon. Will they be distributed in France? And what are your future projects for 2022? Will they be as busy as 2021?
Hi, Val. How are you? Thanks for the question. I got word that Assailant will probably be coming out this spring. I've heard March. So I know that project's locked and ready to go. They did a big announcement that it'll be Redbox has the exclusive rights, at least in the US here domestically. So I never know when or where the movies will drop overseas. I kind of count on you guys to let me know when they drop. So you're all very helpful to me because I don't have that insider information most of the time, so I can't give people a heads up. But March is, I think, what we're looking at for Assailant. So a lot of interviews and some press and some more details on that should be coming soon. 1 Year Off, I don't know. I just went in to do a little bit of audio dialogue cleanup in a recording booth called ADR, voice looping. So that means they're near the end of finishing that movie and locking it for the release. I don't have any details on when that'll be out or where yet, but probably this year at some point, maybe by the summer. I don't know what else I can say. I did shoot a number of projects last year. I was very fortunate to have a good year along those lines. But I don't know when anything can be said or announced or released. But in terms of this year, I am working with a really great group of producers, and we're putting together a sword and sorcery movie. We're putting together an indie fantasy film, and it's coming along and it's gaining steam, and we're hoping to do that in the coming months and get that going. So that is something that I'll be incredibly excited about to share if and when I can. So that's been kind of fun, and a lot of irons in the fire. But in this industry, it's very much about until you get the green light to say something. So great question. Thank you. And when I get the details, you'll have the details.
Thanks. Right, here's a question from Ash Pictorial. Ever since you joined the Call of Duty franchise, you have made a mark for both PC and mobile and have become a fan favorite of many. How has Alex impacted your life ever since you joined the franchise 2 years ago?
What a ride. When I stream on Twitch and I see, wonderful, generous people like you, yourself, Rachel, and so many others, I get the little notification. It's like Rachel Maytum has, resubscribed, and it's like 22 months. I'm like, 22 months. Like, this is insane. It hasn't been that long. But I mean, y'all have been on this journey with Twitch streaming and me for a long time. So Call of Duty is it's been one of the best experiences of my whole career. I mean, the filming of it was amazing. My amazing cast, Taylor and Brian, the creatives in charge of that game. Obviously with Barry, who plays Captain Price, and I formed really good friendships with all that cast, and it was an absolute pleasure to film with them. So it was a really impactful experience for me. And then, of course, on the back end, to kind of squeeze the juice out of this and have so much life in terms of Call of Duty ongoing, and Alex still running around the battlefields and being able to pick up Twitch streaming and play with you all. It's been an absolute joy and an absolute pleasure and wicked fun. So I mean, it's changed my life incrementally for the better. It's been really fun. to be meeting gamers all around the world and to be able to play with them online is such a gift. And the way that people are generous on the Twitch streams and pick up some t-shirts once in a while is very cool. And I'm happy to have stuff out there and kind of have a community where Call of Duty players or not can kind of come together and just have a good old time. And so it's been a real blessing in my career. I hope it keeps going, but of course I'm on a need to know basis like any actor soldier out there. So I don't know what else to say, but I really, really love the Call of Duty gamers who have responded to Alex and are big fans of Alex, who show up on the streams and tag me in their posts and stories, whether that's COD Mobile or Warzone itself. It's been fantastic, and I really hope that we can keep it going with Alex and more games. But if nothing else, we still got the Twitch, and we can always party there.
Yeah, it's been a blessing for so many of us. I mean, I now game, so so it's also impacted many of our lives too. So it's been great. So here's a question from Roy Shilpa. To me, you are a perfect example of a good human being, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me. But what score out of 10 would you like to give yourself as a good human being, and why? I thought this was quite interesting. So
what an interesting question.
I know.
Thank you, Ms. Roy Shilpa. I mean, look, that's a tough one to answer. You can probably spend an hour talking about this one too. I'd much rather talk about D&D. I joke.
Another question along the way.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we're human beings, right? We're all works in progress, and I take my life seriously to the point where I'm responsible for me, and I'm very much into personal growth and development. I'm very much into law of attraction. I'm very much into living a very conscious life, I suppose you could say. So and awareness and choice are just two guiding things you can instill into your life that will create your life. You help you create your life for the better. And so to be aware and to choose different. If something's working out great, to be aware, recognize that, have gratitude for it, keep going in that direction. If something's not working out so well for you, be aware of that, choose something different and take responsibility for it and go off in the direction that serves you and everyone else better. So it's something that I really spend a lot of time working, when I'm not reading fantasy novels and, playing Call of Duty and stuff like this. I'm constantly reading books by Abraham Hicks or Jordan Peterson, or watching YouTube videos, that help me to learn new things about myself or the universe, or, things that enrich my quality of life and help me feel like I'm more in the driver's seat and have control of my life and how it unfolds and my manifestations and stuff like that. So, given the fact that I'm by no means a perfect person, but I'm all right, I think I'd give myself a good solid 7 out of 10. I don't know. Is that arrogant? Or
No.
Is that too humble? I don't know. I don't know where I fall on that.
Much higher, but anyway.
Yeah, not for me to decide, I suppose.
Okay, so our next question is from Dorada. Do you have any fellow actor or director you wish to work with in the future?
Hi, Dorota. How are you? Dorota had a nice viewing party of a sniper movie with some friends, and she tried a gin and soda, which is kind of one of my favorite drinks. Very simple, gin soda lime. She was not a fan. She was not a fan of a gin soda, more of a gin tonic girl, I think. Yeah, that question was, I kind of touched on it earlier, but
we're going with the director one. I don't think.
What's that?
Who you wish to work with as a director?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many phenomenal directors out there. I've worked with a lot of great ones, but just in terms of who people are aware of out there, like I've always been a big J.J. Abrams fan ever since he did the show Alias, and all the way up through his film career, Star Trek, the Star Wars franchise. I love so many Marvel movies. Taika Waititi, who did the Thor movies, and a bunch of other amazing Jojo Rabbit. He's just incredibly talented and has such a unique vision. There's Clint Eastwood, who have always enjoyed his movies over the years. James Gunn, who does Guardians of the Galaxy and all this other stuff. He just he seems like an amazing, talented, really, really awesome guy. So I mean, there's so many people that I would jump at the chance to be able to, just worked for a day with on one of their movies or projects and this, that, whatever else. So, Kevin Costner, like I've always loved Kevin Costner my whole life, and I know he's crushing it up there on his Paramount show, blanking on it right now, but Yellowstone, that's what it is. But, people like that, I would just, you can learn so much just by being around them. And I really, really would love to have a day on set, like I said, with people of that type, and to be able to learn and watch what they do. They've been doing it for decades at a high level. So let's go with those. I mean, that's a big list.
Yeah,
I'm sure I could add more.
Okay, so our next question is from Mary Juliet Karen. Your views a long time ago about showbiz and acting was like taking the fun ride as it is. Did some of these views change? Like, is getting an acting award already part of your goal in your lifetime as an actor?
Hi, Mary Juliet.
I call it Juliet.
Karen, I know she's got a lot of first names, so I'm afraid of. I'm sorry if I screwed that up, but she's lovely, and I appreciate the question. It is still very much about the fun for me, and I'm trying to layer on. I'm trying to learn more about producing with projects that I've had in the works for a few years now. Just trying to get more experience with that to immerse myself in that filmmaking process a lot more, and understanding A to Z how projects can be developed and then put out there for people to enjoy. So that's been really fun, and I've been trying to level up my game there and get as much experience as I can in terms of that sort of stuff. But it really still is about the fun. I'm an actor first and foremost. It's always been a fun experiment for me. Now it's turned into a full-time fun experiment, for a lot of years now. I really don't have my eye on any sort of awards or trinkets or baubles or things to put on my mantle here. I don't. That's not why I got in this game, so I haven't really gone in that direction. Not to say that I won't one day, but in the meantime, really, it's about trying to find that sweet spot of having enough, respect and credibility in the industry that you can keep working easily. But not really, I'm just not that interested in the type of projects that would, garner people awards, the emotionally brutal, the torturous type, dramatic roles and stuff like that people often bring home Oscars for. For me, I'm like, can I get a fake gun, and can I get a sword in my hand, and can I run around killing bad guys and, have fun with that sort of stuff, the Christmas movie, the holiday movie. That's the stuff that I enjoy. And that's kind of what I'm here to do. So, as long as I don't get a Razzie, which is, the awards they hand out to the worst actors and the worst projects or whatever. I mean, is there really such a thing as worst? It's like, it's art, so all those popularity contests or whatever else and Rotten Tomatoes stuff, it's like, it doesn't matter, really, to me. I don't care. I've never read a review in my life. It's not why I'm in this sort of adventure. So but for now, I'm going to fill up my shelves with, nerdy things instead of trying to go for trophies.
That's good. Now, here's a question from John. I've given up on trying to find Sunken City and wait in anticipation of Mamba, Assailant, and 1 year off getting UK distribution. I have nothing left to cap. Do you know if your short from 2017, Take Care Brother, still exists anywhere, or was it just shown at film festivals exclusively?
Hi, John. How you doing? Good questions. That's the interesting thing about this industry is you can make a film and it could take 3 to 4 to 5 years to come out. I mean, Howler's High Moon, the movie, that was a long, arduous process. There's been quite a few other films that kind of never hit the marketplace until years later, like Rock Barnes and stuff like this. So in terms of the short films, I mean, sometimes, and I know this to be a fact for Mamba, it's played at festivals. I've seen it. It's really cool. It's very fun. But, sometimes that is a tool that the writer, director, creator, producer, or star actor, they use that as a vehicle to take the temperature of the marketplace because they want to expand it into a full feature film, or they want to develop it into a television series. So sometimes when you put stuff out there, it can turn people off. That can elevate it to a bigger version of it. So that's sometimes why they don't just exist out there. There's bigger plans, at works behind the scenes. So in terms of Take Care, Brother, I saw that as well. I don't know why or what. I've lost a little bit of touch with the people I did that with years ago, but it turned out well. I saw it. It was cool. I don't know why it's not out there for people. I have to track down the creators of that, and blow them up and see why they haven't put it out there for people to see. So, but it's Sunken City. It was out there for a while. It was on DVD and whatever. I don't know where it's gone or what has happened to it, but that was like 2014. So maybe you could dig up an eBay DVD or something. I'm not really sure what happened to it, but that's the thing as an actor, especially in the indie film arena. It's just like sometimes films never get released, or sometimes they take years, or sometimes their deals run out and you just can't find them anywhere, or the producers just stop selling it and shopping it around. So I really never have too many answers, unfortunately, in terms of stuff like that. So, but don't worry, John, Salem will be out soon, and some other projects too, and you can get back to the capping, man. In the meantime, I'll give you plenty of shenanigans on Twitch to cap.
Right, that's great to know, actually, all that info. This is a question from Vanessa Joy. If you weren't an actor, what would you be up to right now?
Full-time D&D player? Is that a position? Are people hiring? Yeah, I mean, look, I play in a couple of games anonymously through this site called startplaying.games, which is an unbelievable site. It's basically, you can hire a dungeon master and just get in there with other random players and play any game you want. You can do a one-shot, one-off. You can do a full-blown campaign from one of the more recognizable D&D campaigns out there. I play in 2 of these a week, and no one knows who I am. I just come there. I love the random players that I'm in a group with. We play. I pay like $10 for 4 hours of D&D, twice a week. Absolutely incredible, So I don't know. There's a part of me that's just kind of like, this whole acting thing doesn't work out. Maybe I'll go on a site like that and just run D&D games for a living, which I have friends that do. I don't think it pays very well when you break down the hours. I think it's much less than a minimum wage, but it sounds like a really fun adventure to me. So, but in all seriousness, if I wasn't doing this, I always thought, in the way that I learned about the business and whatever, that I'd probably make a pretty good talent manager or agent, just in the way that I kind of do that for myself and have done it my entire career. For myself, I worked under a talent manager. I worked hand in hand with so many agents. I understood the business from their perspective. So it'd be kind of fun to imagine me, working the phone and being an advocate for clients and putting deals together and stuff like that in a different world, in a different life. But I'd rather be on the camera and not mired in all those calls and, auditions and this and that, and whatever else. So other than that, I'd be probably a full-time student, just learning things. I just go to school and I would just learn things. I'm like, oh, let's take a class on accounting. Oh, let's learn Spanish. Oh, let's learn how to, use a camera. Let's do this and this and this. I love learning. I love picking up new skills. So, I don't think that position would pay very well either, but that's probably what I would try to do.
Very cool. Now, here's a question from Savina. So it's another one. What is your opinion about yoga? Do you do any related practice?
Good question. I'm very aware of what yoga is. I can't say I've done it very much in my life. I probably should do it a lot more. I'm no spring chicken, and I'm kind of very creaky like the Tin Man these days, with all my years of sports and injuries and everything else. Every single year I threaten that I'm going to do yoga and at least just do it like once a week or whatever, and then I just never really get around to it. I know it's so good for you. I like own a yoga mat and everything else too, but I just don't do it. For me, it's not as exciting as going into the weight room or taking a boxing class or playing in my weekly basketball league or this, that, what have you. But I am getting better about stretching. I am getting better about, I took this physical therapy program. It's called Egoscue. It's totally changed my body and the way that I felt. I had so many injuries that my alignment was all out of whack. My neck, my back, my shoulders, my hips, everything was just jacked from years of abuse. And these wonderful people have an amazing knowledge, and they kind of custom tailor a physical therapy program for you. And I read so much about it. So it's a combination of basically yoga, Pilates, stretching, and it's a non-invasive physical therapy, because when things got really bad for me, your traditional doctors will be like, well, we can inject you with cortisone, into your spine. And I'm like, that doesn't sound good. It's like, or, because you have mid-grade arthritis here and that disc is a bit, bulging and inflamed, we can go in and give you surgery. And like, I think I'll stay away from, back and neck surgery as well. So they did an amazing job to kind of help me put my body back into alignment, which unbelievably effective at alleviating pain. So I go back to that protocol every once in a while and go for a little tune-up with them and have a little menu of exercises to do. That's really changed my life. I did it hardcore after I wrapped the TV show Extinct for 6 months, just 3 to 5, 6 times a week, just doing what they said. And I just, unbelievable change in my physiology and in the relief that I felt. So it's not quite yoga, but it's along those lines. And I find that to be extremely effective and life-changing for me.
That's good. So here's a question from Faye. Which fictional character would be the most exciting to meet in real life?
Oh boy, which fictional character would be most exciting to oh my. Tyler Durden from Fight Club would be cool. I'd love to meet William Wallace from Braveheart. He's a pretty cool dude. Oh my gosh. Who would I want to meet in real life?
I'm thinking Alex Echo 31 myself.
Yeah, that guy's a badass. Unlike me. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really great question. I could probably go on and on and on. I could pull from books, I could pull from TV, I could pull from movies. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones and that universe. So it would be great to meet, the Stark family from there. I'm a huge historical fiction nerd. This author named Bernard Cornwell, just fallen in love with his Uhtred of Bebbanburg. It's actually in the Last Kingdom BBC series. Uhtred of Bebbanburg, an actor does a pretty good job in that role. And there's a character named Derfell from his Excalibur trilogy that Bernard Cornwell did, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And I name my D&D characters Derfell and this and that, whatever. My Warcraft characters, my D&D characters. So I'd love to meet Derfell from 6th century Britannia, just because he has a special place in my heart.
Well, talking of characters, here's a question from Shilpa. How does the character Brandon Beckett inspire you?
Shilpa, thank you for the question. How does the character Brandon Beckett inspire you? I like, Brandon's cool. It's a weird thing, being an actor. It's like, how much is you? How much is the character on the page? And I think the best actors and the best roles come through where it's a blend of the two. It's what the writer intended. It's what you bring to the table, and you kind of, mash those things up and you get what you get. So Brandon, just echoes a lot of things that I'm about in life, doing the right thing, fighting the good fight, protecting people who can't protect themselves. I've always had a very, very strong sense of justice about me my entire life, which is probably why I'm obsessed with knights and, soldiers and stuff like this. So it's kind of a natural extension of who I am. But, he's a cool guy. He's probably a little bit more headstrong than me. He probably is a lot more quicker to defy orders and go off the grid and, go rogue, so to speak, than I am. I'm a pretty chill guy. I like being a law-abiding citizen. For the most part. Doesn't mean that I won't be a rebel if I'm justified in my own mind about it. But I love Brandon, and it's a gift to play Brandon Beckett. And we might have something coming along those lines for you all very soon.
We love Brandon Beckett. Here's a question from Alison Moore. As a successful actor, at any point in future, do you want to go into directing?
Good question, Alison. For now, like I touched on earlier, learning more producing for me is the next logical step. I've always been curious, when I show up on a TV set, a film set or whatever, like I love to watch, like what does the lighting department do? And what are the camera guys doing over there? And, the set dressing in the art department, like how are they setting things up and what are they doing there? What are the producers doing? How do the people behind the scenes who put together the schedules and all the pre-production stuff. So I just feel like the more I can be a sponge and learn a little bit about what everyone does, that's it, and to be aware of what they do and to appreciate what they do, which I naturally am blown away by what these people do on sets and how everyone has to come together to make the damn thing. It's a miracle every single time. So I'm much more inclined to learn the producing thing than I am directing. But I think that, immersing myself in more producing experiences, I will naturally, be more and more curious about what a director does, how they do it. I have learned a lot over the years just by paying attention and asking questions. And, this new project that I'm trying to put together, having a lot of, great conversations with the director and, just talking about shots and talking about, what kind of shots, and obviously staying in my lane because a director is an expert and I am not, but sharing creative ideas, for shot setups and how you could record this kind of fight versus, doing it this way and what are the advantages and this and that. And it's just a fascinating process. It's always dynamic and very, very cool. So no interest in getting into the director's chair anytime soon, but for sure want to slap on more producer hats as we go here first. And who knows? You can never say never in this industry.
Now, here's a question from Anna Paula. Now, one of them was, will we have a sniper movie soon? You've sort of obviously given that sort of hint that there may be one soon. So I did put another question here too, which is good. And if you could write a script for the Sniper franchise, where would Sergeant Beckett adventure be this time?
Oh my. Okay, good questions, Paula. Thank you. Yeah, I can't say much. Obviously, Sniper is under the Sony Pictures umbrella, and big studios do things the way they want to do them and say things when they want to say them. So I'm not at liberty to say too much, but I'll just say that we could have something along those lines sometime soon, and that's about as far as I can go without getting canceled. What was the second part of that question?
Now, if you could write a script for the Sniper franchise, where would Sergeant Beckett adventure be this time?
Somewhere exotic, because why not? I've spent enough time on Bulgarian mountaintops and freezing my butt off on so many of these movies that I've done that, like, for sure, I'm putting myself somewhere warm. I think it'd be fun to find a way to maybe get, Brandon Beckett back in like Panama, because I think that's where they filmed the first Sniper movie with Billy Zane and Tom Berenger, kind of the jungles down there. And I think they filmed in Panama, but it doubled for something else or some sort of flip-flop version of that in Central South America. So that'd be kind of fun. I've never been down there. I've never filmed down there. I mean, Ana Paula, I believe you're right down there in Brazil. So it's like, let's go. Let's send Brandon Beckett on a mission, to Brazil. Let's get him in Carnival and have some fun there. So why not?
Oh, sure. Love that. Now, here's a question from Scarlett Cunningham. Did you expect the success of your voice in the audiobook?
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. I really didn't know how this world worked. I've listened to audiobooks before, but they're not my first choice, if I'm being honest. I love a book in my hand, or at least on my Kindle, which is so full of books. So I'm a reader, and I love to read. I think audiobooks are wonderful because some people do not like reading, and it's an amazing option for them to be able to experience the unfolding of a book without having to turn a single page. So I didn't know what to expect. It was really cool to see that even a year after its release, they did the Netflix movie, The Power of the Dog. And so that kind of took the audiobook and ramped it right up the charts, which is really, really cool and very, very fun. But I didn't know what to expect. I don't know. I didn't know as much about that industry. I just knew that I was excited to kind of, try it on for size and put the lines down in a whole different way as a voiceover actor. So hopefully it keeps going. I really, like I said before, it's tough work, and there's a part of me that doesn't want to do too many because it is pretty grueling to do that. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of words that have to be perfect. And you're going back and doing a lot of takes, and some sentences don't roll off the tongue because they're meant to be written down. And so that's a whole different animal to try and get those out and get those articulated and done well, and keep so many things in the back of your mind while you're doing it in real time. So I love it. If I keep doing them for once a year, that'd be really fun. And I think it'd be fun to do a nonfiction thing. I had an opportunity that I had to pass on that was about the video game industry, a nonfiction book about the video game industry that I was talking to some publishers about. I was very excited to do it. Obviously, I'm a nerd for the video games industry and have been since the days of Nintendo in the 80s. So schedules didn't work out, but I thought that would have been a really fun experience to do an audiobook that's nonfiction, because perhaps it's not as hard because fiction can be very descriptive and use a lot of words that can be very, very, very tough to say, whereas nonfiction is spouting facts and stuff like this. So hopefully that comes along and I get an opportunity like that. And right now 1 per year is about good for me.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job of it.
Thank you.
Here's another question from Lottie. I'm really looking forward to watching your Dungeons and Dragons Twitch stream so I can learn from you. I'm interested to know, what D&D classes do you favor?
Well, thank you, Lottie, for this D&D questions. Always love D&D talk. I think in this campaign I'll be playing a paladin, which is kind of my go-to class, the holy knight, so to speak, who's the protector, the defender of the group. There's a term in D&D and fantasy, the fantasy universe, called squishy. So, your wizards and your softer characters who don't wear big heavy armor because they're not so strong, they're squishy. So I like to be the tank, the guy who wears the massive armor, and it's like, get through me first and protect everybody behind me kind of thing. So those are kind of the classes that I love to play. I've got a paladin going in 2 different games right now. But I also love the ranger, which is that classic like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings archetype, and one with nature, handy with a longbow kind of thing. I've played a couple of rangers as well, and I'm actually in another game I'm playing a barbarian, which I've modeled literally after Conan the Barbarian, and he's an absolute beast who waves around a 10-foot long spear and just skewers people from a distance. So I love him. I've called him Crom, which, if anybody is a fan of Conan, Conan the Barbarian is always referencing his god Crom. So I named him Crom, literally. So it's a total ripoff of Conan, and he's an absolute beast savage who just runs around the battlefield, absolutely hacking things to pieces. So that's been really fun as well. So I don't play the spellcaster types as much. I do love to get down with, the old, sword and shield, sword and board, as they call it. So those are always my go-to.
It sounds lovely. Now here's a question from Val. There is a lot of talk about the future of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Are you going to participate again for the character Alex Echo 31? I think I know the answer to this one. So I've added another question here. What do you love most about Alex Echo 31?
Hi, Val. Thanks for this question. Yeah, I mean, look, I loved playing Alex, but like I said, I gave a precursor to this question just by saying it's the NDA life. If Call of Duty made a game all about Alex and called it Call of Duty Echo 3-1, I couldn't say anything, and I just wouldn't be allowed to do it. And so I have nothing to report on that front, one way or another, sadly. But what's the second part of that question?
What do you love most about Alex Echo 31?
I really love the character because he feels so much in the same universe as Brandon Beckett, as the good guy soldier, the guy who's relatable and wants to do the right thing, is not afraid to go off grid, to get that thing done. And I think everyone saw that if they played the Modern Warfare campaign, and the way that he took up with the freedom fighters and to see their justice through, even though that was off script and against orders kind of thing. And then the way that he sacrificed himself at the end for a cause greater than himself. So I love that. I love that they had that dubious ending for him, and then he came back, of course, and he had lost the leg. I just thought that was an amazing nod to servicemen and women, to be able to see a character run around like that, and to have that sort of inspiration and to give that nod and that respect to them was very cool. And I love that. I'm friends with a really great comic book artist, and he's doing kind of an Echo 3-1 sketch for me, which is very generous of him. And I'll show everybody when I have it. But he asked me, would you want Alex pre-explosion, or do you want Alex post-explosion with the prosthetic leg? And I said 100% prosthetic leg, because I just think that's important. That's who he is now. And I just think it's an amazing thing to put out there and to have people be aware of it and to, recognize. So, that's, it's been a blast, and I hope there's more, Alex, but if not, what a ride.
Yeah, I hope so too. Now, here's a question from Dorota. With your growing fandom and popularity, where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years? We all know when you grow in popularity, privacy is a thing of the past. Is this something you considered when you decided to become an actor?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I was getting some pings on my browser here, so I had to shut that down. Can you repeat that for me? Because I'm slow in the brains.
With your growing fandom and popularity, where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years? We all know when you grow in popularity, privacy is a thing of the past. Is this something you considered when you decided to become an actor? So there's pretty much 2 questions there.
Okay. Who asked this question?
Dorota.
Dorota, great question. Thank you. So she wants the 5-year plan, huh? Tara, do you have a 5-year plan as an actor? I think why I doubled down.
I think in 5 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. It's fair. I think that's why I'm doubling down on the producing stuff, because look, the industry shifts and changes all the time. We've watched network TV, is mostly dying, and everybody's got their own streaming platforms now. There's mergers happening all the time with AT&T, buying Warner Brothers. Like, there's so much change, and it's just going to keep going that way. Tastes and preferences for actors or kinds of actors or the types of stories they want to tell, you're always having to react and adapt to these changes and these initiatives and these causes. And, I think that I have found my niche. I found my stroke. I found what I really love to do. I love being part of certain types of films and projects or whatever. And that's why I'm trying to produce a werewolf TV show. It's why I'm trying to, get this, swords and sorcery, light fantasy project off the ground. It's why, Quantum Justice, which is sci-fi meets, buddy cop action movie. Like, this is the stuff that I love, and so the producing, not only do you learn how to be a filmmaker, and put awesome projects out into the world, but you put yourself in a role, and that's it's something you can control from that end. Someone can't say, no, we don't want him as an actor. It's like, it's my project. I'm attached to it. I ain't going anywhere. So that's kind of like the long game bet, to make sure that you always scratch the itch as an actor and be able to satisfy that. So that is the way for me. And so in 5 years, I would love to have a whole slate of films and TV projects and stuff that I'm a producer on, that I also get to star in. That is kind of the way for me. Not that I'm not open to, the standard auditions and trying to hop on this show or into that movie and whatever. Bring it on. I'm always game. But I think that I love that producers, you can stay in the driver's seat a lot more and kind of dictate the projects you want to do, and you help create them. And I think that's an amazing thing. And I'm all in on that version of things here forward, and maybe directing, probably not anytime soon. But the other question, in terms of the privacy, it's something I've always been conscious of. I came up through the industry not as an actor at all, which I think a lot of people know. I worked with a publicist who then became a talent manager. And we had amazing clients, Scott Bakula and, Gladys Knight. So I was seeing a lot of these entertainers in the public eye, and I was seeing what it looks like, to have paparazzi, what it looks like to have security or a handler everywhere you go, to have the popularity. And so I was always very conscious, and I really have always been very conscious about, social media is a great tool, and I love it as a chance to connect with amazing people all around the world, everybody here included. And but you have to be very conscious about it, because once it's out there, and you've seen it. It's really, you have to curate what you want to put out there. And I'm by no means recognizable or famous enough that I've got, a photographer parked outside my window right now. Not a problem. Going to Whole Foods, it's not a problem. No one has any idea who I am, and I like it that way. That's fine. So I'm very conscious about what I put out there. And, my whole philosophy is, I'm a regular guy, and I've got, friends and interests and stuff like that. Some of that stuff I'm happy sharing and inviting people into my life, stuff about D&D and my projects and this and that and whatever else. And then there's other things that are off limits, and you just got to know what your boundaries are and how comfortable you are interacting with people along those lines. So, my whole thing is just, I'm not as interested in putting so much private stuff out there about myself that people feel like they're entitled to weigh in, in the court of public opinion. That doesn't interest me at all, because the thing with social media is it's like half reality. You don't know what's going on with the person behind the scenes. You don't know how challenging their life is. You don't know, because, they've used a filter and it's all smiles and, hashtag gratitude, but you don't know what's really going on. So it's really hard to understand, that what's happening with people. So I reserve judgment. I have no interest in being critical of people, through social media, because everyone's human beings and you don't know what's really going on. And I try to just offer enough of myself and the areas of myself that I feel comfortable with, while not offering too much, just because, if someone puts something on social media, some people just feel compelled to weigh in. Fair enough. Anybody can write anything on social media, and there's a lot of keyboard courage out there, and there's a lot of trolls and stuff like that. And it's for what I put out there, people can say whatever they want, but there's certain elements of my life where it's like, you don't get an opinion. And that's where I have hard boundaries about that sort of stuff. So, but, a lot of people use social media and they're not conscious. So you get what you get, and you get the people, reacting this way and that way and whatever else. As an actor, you got to be doubly conscious, because, you let something slip or you have a bad day and you put some stuff out there, well, you're canceled, and we've seen it happen a lot, and it's people don't think first. They type, hit send, and then maybe never think at all. And it can come back to bite them and haunt them. And I mean, the way people are digging up 10-year-old tweets and people are getting canceled, it's a very dangerous time out there, in the way that, Twitter has become, it's the judge, it's the, what is it? The judge and the judge, jury, and executioner of people's lives right now, which is a very tricky, dangerous thing. So I'm very conscious of the way that I use it. I make it all about the love and the appreciation, and just kind of spread the joy of the things that I do enjoy and the projects I've been blessed to be a part of. And that's how I choose to use it.
Yeah.
That's a long answer.
Yeah. And we do that, you've taught me a lot, from the way that you approach social media. So thank you for that. I've got 2 more questions, but I was wondering, how long do you have, Chad? Because we did have some questions we were going to ask for those in the chat. I don't know how much longer you want to do this for, because we've got about
how long have we been talking? An hour.
It's pretty much an hour. So do you have any more time left? I do have 2 questions here.
Let's do them. Hold on, I got
some questions on my phone from people that haven't asked questions. So let's go ahead then. This is another one from Mary Juliet Karen. I'm going to call her Juliet because that's what I call her. In Sniper Ultimate Kill, the film touches on post-traumatic stress disorder. Do you see this an integral, I can't even say the word, aspect the Sniper franchise will take on in the future? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important thing to recognize. I mean, you can't even if you're justified in doing it and they're bad guys, quote unquote, it doesn't come without consequence to shoot the head off someone dozens of times, people that you never met who are justified in their cause and for doing the things that they're doing. So I love that it touched on that. I think it's an important thing to recognize. I know that affects so many servicemen and women around the world. So I was happy that was in there. It's a very real thing, and it's something to be taken seriously, and it affects a lot of people. So I was glad that it was in there. I know that the new direction that they're taking the Sniper franchise, the wonderful people at Sony and Oliver Thompson and the other people who've been involved with Sniper Assassin's Ends, they're trying to take it in a different direction, maybe not leaning into the heavy stuff so much. Although there are moments like that, when Thomas Beckett goes on his monologue about his Vietnam experience and things of this nature. So that's always going to be part and parcel, I think, with a military movie. But I think that the new direction is really making it more popcorn action, fun, and maybe getting, touching on moral gray areas, ethical things, of course, here and there. But I think that those definitely have a place with the stories that you're trying to tell about soldiers. But it's also, it's very hard, and it's very depressing, and it's tough, and a lot of audiences would like to leave that part out, and I get it. But I'm glad that it does exist in our franchise and it is addressed, because I do think it's important for people to be aware of. So, yeah.
Now here's a question from Vanessa. Now, you have an exciting life. I know you have an exciting life with your acting career, Call of Duty, and all the other aspects of your life. Now, but Vanessa Joy would like to know, if you could pick a theme song to describe your life is right now, what song would you choose?
Oh my, what a great question, Vanessa. Oh, geez. Let's put it on. Let's go to the 80s. Let's make it some 80s rock.
Yes.
Something that everyone would know. What do we got? It was funny. I was watching in the NFL football game, and they do the commercial outros where they show the drone shot of the stadium as they cut to the commercial and whatever else. And they played a song called "Round and Round" by a band called Rat. Like "Round and Round" was their hit single in like 1984-ish or something like that. And it's interesting to me because, you think about "Round and Round," it's like sometimes in this career, in this life, in this industry, it is just round and round. It's like you come off an amazing project, whether it's a Call of Duty or a sniper movie or, Assailant or anything that you're lucky enough to be a part of. And it's like, here we go again. Like we're on the merry-go-round, just looking for the next one, looking for the next one, looking for the next one. And that's kind of the life that you live. It is not a 9-to-5, put on your tie and go to work type career. It is, she said something about my life is exciting and, adventurous and glamorous and whatever. I'm like, there's a lot of tedious stuff that goes into just trying to find another job so I don't starve and can pay rent, and that's so much of the actor's experience, is doing so much of the unpaid work, whether it's auditions or networking or everything else. It's like the real joy is when you get to be on the set to do the damn thing, but everything else, the weeks and the months, sometimes the year, is about just trying to find the next project that you get a yes on and that you get to be on set for. So, Rat, Round and Round is kind of where it feels. It's a new year, and we're back in the saddle. We're trying to find work all this year. I'm trying to do the producing projects. I just had a couple of auditions this week, so it's like, here we go. It's like the cycle repeats. This is the life of an actor. This is what you sign up for. So we'll go with Round and Round by Rat, and I'm sure you can find that on YouTube, and they'll appreciate the views.
Right. This is a question from Emma Allegro. If you will be offered to do a movie or to be the new Jason Bourne, would you accept it?
Oh my. Hi, Emma. How are you?
There, isn't it?
Who wouldn't say yes to that? It's amazing. Amazing. And funny enough, the producers that I'm working with on, trying to get this next project put together is we had a lot of discussions about action scenes. And as a comparison, he sent me a clip from a fight from a Bourne movie, which is great. And it was like the camera is very shaky, just brutal, like just in close as Matt Damon and Dubray Scott, I think. I can't remember, but just brutal. And they were in like an apartment. So like there's a kitchen knife, there's a telephone wire, like just hand to hand, dirty, smashing into the kitchen counter and getting on the ground, getting back up, grabbing whatever you can, improvised weaponry and stuff like that. But just a dirty, dirty alley fight. And it was so great. And I love those movies. And I think Matt Damon crushes those things. So
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'd love the opportunity to do something like that. That'd be fantastic. But I think, Matt Damon's got the market cornered on that, at least for as long as he wants it anyway.
Right. Our next question is from Leo Lawson. Any particular book that influenced you and your values?
Leo or Leah?
Leo.
Leo. Okay. Leo, good question. Oh man, there's been so many books that have changed my life for the better. Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks completely changed my life around. I'm trying to think, there's so many books that have been transformative for me that I love to give them out as gifts. Some of the books by Mike Dooley are phenomenal. Mike Dooley was in The Secret, which is the famous law of attraction documentary from way back in the day. And I started to move in that direction. But, I read Tony Robbins, had an amazing 500-600 page books on like how to basically get your financial shit together. Excuse my French. And like, that was incredible because I learned so many things that they don't teach you in school ever, to basically ensure your future and to be smart along these lines. So, there's so many, and I'm such an avid reader. The one that I'm reading right now, Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. And this is a New York Times bestseller many, many times over. But he's an amazing intellectual for our times. And I'm getting a lot of value out of that. I listen to a lot of his stuff. He's just got very, very phenomenal advice. And I really have responded to his book very well. I look forward to reading his follow-up too. So those are some good starters.
Right, we've just got a couple of more questions. So here's one from David Ringninger. I don't know if I'm saying that right. David, yes, David. What was the most physically demanding scene you've had to shoot?
What's up, David?
Oh,
boy, I'll tell you what, the Assailant movie that one almost killed me, I feel like. That was a brutal experience. Not just the filming of it, but I had some other stuff going on that I was dealing with, and I was averaging about 3.5 hours of sleep and shooting 16-hour days that were very grueling and physical and hot. So, I survived that, which means that I could probably survive anything, although I wouldn't want to test that theory anytime soon. That was a tough one. I think some of the other ones I've done, in Bulgaria when we were, playing like Sniper Ultimate Kill, we absolutely froze our asses off on a mountain for quite a while. And Company of Heroes was the same brutal freezing experience, 2.5, 3 feet of snow, 6,000, 7,000 feet up in the air on a mountain for 10 days, drenched and freezing almost every single day. There's been some really gnarly shoots that we've been a part of that I've definitely survived, but you're very grateful to have done it and for it to be over. Those are probably the ones that take the cake off the top of my head for sure.
Okay, good. I've got 2 more questions actually, one from Elliot and one from Paul Swift. So I'll do these 2 and then we can just end it there. So this one's from Elliot Korb. What is your view on method acting? Have you ever done it, and what helps you get into mind of the character?
What's up, the Canon, Elliot Korb? Good question, man. I'm not trained classically along those things. I've never really had much interest. Look, I love Daniel Day-Lewis, and that guy is incredible with what he does, and he's got the trophies to show for it. But that's just never been my deal, And because I got into acting for the fun, I learned a lot more about the business first, and I just kind of layered technique on, and I just stole from this class and I stole from that class. I like that idea, that'll work for me. And so I kind of put a Frankenstein's monster together of like how I approach this sort of stuff. And so I really have never done the method acting stuff, but I really appreciate the actors who are willing to starve themselves for 30 days or lock themselves in a jail, or, you know, only use their left foot for 30 days till I get into character. I mean, I know Shia LaBeouf, you hear all these stories about that guy, you know, doing all sorts of insane things, you know, from his method acting to get into character. But, you know, rock on, you know, whatever works. What I discovered is there's no right way to do acting. And I'm sure everybody from a different school or training will tell you theirs is the right way. But I've never been interested in that sort of stuff. Mine is more of an, you know, amalgamation of a lot of things that I've learned and read and just incorporated. And so I've got my own version of things. But, you know, I love to do research. I love to do that. But, you know, I mean, really, it's all in the script. And to spend time with that script and to really ask questions or arrive at new interesting things and read between the lines, you know, any good writer is going to put it in there for you, you know, and if it's not obvious in there, then you bring something that makes sense and stuff like that. But, you know, collaboration is fun with a director, with a writer, with whatever else, and to tease things out of it and share ideas. It's always very, very helpful. And I think it makes things go a lot smoother, and you get a better performance as a result. So.
Thank you, Chad. That's a good answer. Now this one's from Paul Swift. Chad, if you lost a leg in real life, which leg would you prefer to lose and why? I don't know what kind of question that is. I'm interested to know your answer.
What's up, Paul? Represent Price Posting. Good to have you here. Thanks for the question. I would prefer to lose neither. I don't know. I don't even know how you would answer that. I don't have a favorite leg. I'm very fond of both, and I'm very grateful, obviously, to have them both. So
we're going to stick with both, by the sounds of
let's stick with both. That would be the preferred way to go about such a sensitive question for sure.
Well, that's great. We're going to. Julia has just sent me something quickly. Have you planted the plantable gift tag already? She said. Laugh out loud.
I have it. I do have it around here somewhere, but here's the deal. I don't have a green thumb. There is a plant right here that is real that I don't maintain very well. I don't like its chances. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't have a green thumb. I don't have the time, like the bandwidth to take something like that on. So that, I'll be honest, to plant something and then nurture it, love it, grow it, water it every day, like this does not sound like, you know, my babies are films. My babies are TV projects. My babies are this is where I put the love and the energy and the time and the attention. They need a lot more than water, and I can barely keep that together for them. So I don't take on a lot of living, breathing, organic things if I don't have to in my life, just because I know they will not be much of a priority, sadly. I like, you know, plastic things and metal things and things that you can unplug are much preferred in my life and my lifestyle at this point, especially because you travel, you know, like I get a call tomorrow and be gone for a month and a half. So it's like, what am I going to do? You know, burden a bunch of plants on my neighbors? I'm like, that doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. Not that plants aren't wonderful.
Well, thank you, Chad, for taking the time to answer all our questions. It's been such a pleasure having you. We are very thankful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel, and everybody in the group. This is always a lot of fun. I appreciate your questions. And of course, I always appreciate your support on social media, on Twitch. It's such a pleasure to interact with you all. And so thanks for taking the time to be here and sending the really thought-provoking questions. I'm a deep thinker, so there's never any simple damn answers with me. So it's no surprise that we went over time because I like to think very, very carefully about questions that I'm asked, even the simple, funny ones. So that's just kind of who I am. Comes back to the awareness and choice and being conscious, I suppose. But appreciate you all and can't wait to play with you all again here soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and take care. Okay, thanks for all your questions. It's been really good fun. All right, bye everyone. We're going to head off now. Going to let
Bye.
Dad go. All right, take care.